The last aspect of Snowfall that we're going to be discussing is going to be its use of illustrations and motion graphics to be able to tell the story. It's one of the things that really Snowfall is best known for because the graphics and the illustrations really help to bring the story to life and are very flashy and they get your attention. But what you need to focus on with Snowfall as you're reading it is what the defined purpose is of those graphics. They are there for a reason, and in many cases it's to help to guide the reader through the story. Snowfall is a very complex story. Almost everybody that reads it has never been to Tunnel Creek. They will not be able to see in their minds what some of these scenes are, no matter how well John Branch describes them. And so what's really fascinating about their use of these illustrations is how it helps you to stay in the moment with the story and to better understand and keep up with the events as they're developing, as John Branch is describing them. So the first graphic that you see when you read through Snowfalls in the first chapter, and you come across this map. Now, this effect that they're using right here is called parallax, and it basically is part of HTML5 that allows different screens to move, over each other, almost like different layers. It allows you to do some interesting things. You can either overlay photos in these areas. You can do video embeds, those types of things. And what they've done with this part is they've created a video that now gives you a fly over the mountain and helps to put you on the spot so that you can understand what you're looking at, what you're reading about, and again, put you on the scene in a way that the story just can't do. And so by doing this, now you've really kind of helped give the reader some context that helps them get more invested in the story. Now you can see just how remote this area is. You can see the route that the climbers took. And when you start talking about Turtle Creek or Tunnel Creek, you now know what you're talking about here. That you're talking about a very remote area that is away from help, away from the um, established skiing areas. And now you really have a sense of why what the skiers did really put them in danger. The second graphic they'd use, and this one I think is one of the most innovative uses of graphics that I've seen, not just in this story, but just seen in journalism overall, is the use of this graphic of the mountain. And what happens here is you're reading the story and you're scrolling down. The graphic starts to track the movements of the skiers. And so, in doing this, now you can keep up with the character Chris Rudolph and Wesley Pinky and Carlson as you're moving down the mountain. And as Branch's narrative gets more and more intricate, where it would be very difficult to continue following this in the written story itself, now the graphics help you to keep pace with the story so that you can better understand who is where when things are happening, and where they are on the mountain as events are occurring. And I've always felt like this is one of the most brilliant storytelling uses of an infographic that I've ever seen. Just because this is really hard to be able to do as a writer, to be able to keep the reader in the moment without getting them confused, as you have a lot of different moving parts going on in your story, and you're trying to describe things that, for a reader, it may just be very difficult to track on. And lastly, in the fourth chapter of Snowfall, uh, at this point here, the skiers are getting into the avalanche. And one thing that's really difficult to convey, it's just difficult to convey how fast and how devastating an avalanche can be, or another, event like that. And so what the New York Times developers did is they developed this graphic of the avalanche to give readers a clear sense of just what happened as those skiers hit the avalanche area. And now you can see it's hit 48 miles an hour. The graphic is giving you information as you're continuing to move through it, but doing so in a way that's very engaging, in a way that really gives you a clear sense of just how devastating an event this was. And again, while using this graphic in this parallax frame, it just like the videos, it gives the reader a chance to take a break from the story, but it again helps to clarify what is happening in their minds, gives them a better sense for the devastation of the avalanche. It gives them a helps guide them through exactly what happened, and it just really again helps to engage them and keep them in the moment of the story, keep them pulled in and emotionally invested before they start moving on to the next chapter.